I'm about to defend people who are always late, and you're going to hate me for it. But before you click away, hear me out, because what I'm about to show you is going to completely flip everything you think you know about that friend who's never on time. We're talking brain scans, psychological studies, and some stats that are going to make you question whether you've been judging people unfairly this entire time. And if you're someone who's always early, sitting there all smug, yeah, you, stick around, because we need to talk about your personality issues too. Let's go, okay? So society has decided that people who are late are basically criminals, right? They're selfish, disrespectful, inconsiderate jerks who think their time is more valuable than yours. And look, I get it. You're standing there checking your phone every 30 seconds, wondering if you got stood up, feeling like an idiot. It's infuriating. Psychologist Pauline Wallen says, when you agree to be somewhere at a given time, you're essentially entering into a contract. But if one person is consistently late, it creates a breach of trust, not just for the moment, but often for the entire relationship. Heavy stuff, right? We're talking contract violations. We're treating lateness like it's a character flaw, a moral failure. But here's where things get interesting. What if I told you that approximately 20% of the population, that's 1 in 5 people, are chronically late, and for most of them, it has nothing to do with being selfish? Let me blow your mind right now. There's something called the planning fallacy, discovered in 1979 by psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. These guys won a Nobel Prize for understanding how dumb our brains can be, and here's what they figured out. On average, people underestimate how long tasks will take by 40%. Not 5%, not 10%, 40%. Your brain is basically lying to you about time constantly. Want proof? In 1994, researchers studied 37 psychology students, people who literally study human behavior for a living, and asked them to predict when they'd finish their thesis. Average estimate? 34 days. Best case? 27 days. Worst case? 49 days. The actual average? 55.5 days. These experts got it wrong by 3 weeks. Only 30% of them even came close to their prediction. So if trained psychologists can't accurately estimate time, what chance do the rest of us have? But it gets crazier. Are you ready for this? Because this is where my defense gets really strong. Dr. Jeff Conte at San Diego State University did this wild experiment. He took type A people, the intense, always rushing, super punctual types, and type B people, the laid back, relaxed, we'll get there when we get there types, and asked them to estimate when 1 minute had passed. Type A people thought a minute was up after 58 seconds. Pretty accurate, right? Type B people didn't think a minute had passed until 77 seconds. That's a 19-second difference per minute. Do you understand what this means? If you're a type B person and you think, I'll leave in 10 minutes, in your brain that feels like 10 minutes. But in actual reality, almost 13 minutes pass. You're not being late on purpose. You are literally experiencing time differently than punctual people. Your brain is in a different time zone. If you think you have a 30-minute drive, your brain is telling you it's closer to 23 minutes. Every single time you estimate time, you're off by like 30%, and you have no idea it's happening because it feels accurate to you. So when punctual people say, just leave earlier, that's like telling a colorblind person, just see the red. You can't. Your brain won't let you. Now let's talk about something even more serious. Time blindness. This isn't some made-up excuse. This is an actual neurological condition. A researcher named Russell Barkley called it temporal myopia in 1997, which literally means being nearsighted for time. Brain imaging studies, we're talking fMRI scans, actual pictures of brains, show that people with time blindness have reduced activation in their prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain that handles executive functions like planning and time management. This is heavily linked to ADHD. And here's a statistic that should make you feel bad about judging late people. In the UK, the #1 reason people with ADHD got fired from their jobs was poor timekeeping, not performance, not work quality, just being late. People are losing their jobs because their brains literally cannot perceive time passing. One person with ADHD described it like this: time is a completely fluid concept to me, as are deadlines, appointment times, and basically anything scheduled. I'm chronically optimistic that I can do one more thing so I don't forget later, because I will. Then I'm 15 minutes late. Dr. Geeta Grover, a pediatrician at UCI Health, says it perfectly. Time blindness is not willful. It is part and parcel of executive function skills deficits. Be kind to yourself and understand that this is not on purpose, but part of brain-based differences. Time blindness also shows up with autism spectrum disorder, OCD, traumatic brain injury, depression, anxiety, Parkinson's disease, and multiple sclerosis. So yeah, maybe stop calling your late friend an asshole. Their brain might literally be broken in the time perception department. Here's another piece of evidence for my defense. Multitasking makes you late, and it's not your fault. Jeff Conte did another study in 2003 with 181 New York City subway operators. People who prefer multitasking, doing several things at once, arrived up to 15 minutes later on average, compared to people who focus on one task at a time. Why? Because multitasking destroys your awareness of what you're actually doing. You think, I'll just send one quick email before I leave, and boom, 20 minutes evaporate into thin air and you have no idea where they went. And in today's world, with phones constantly pinging us, with a million browser tabs open, with notifications coming from 47 different apps, we're all multitaskers now. We're all losing time without realizing it. Society has created an environment that makes us late and then punishes us for it. Make it make sense. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, fine, but late people still mess everything up. What about all the damage they cause? Fair point. Let's talk numbers. Chronic lateness costs the US economy $90 billion per year. That's billion with a B. An employee who's just 10 minutes late every day has essentially taken a fully paid week of vacation by the end of the year. In the UK, it's £9 billion, about $11.4 billion lost to employee tardiness annually. And social psychologist Justin Kruger from NYU points out the paradox. There are all sorts of disincentives and punishments for being late, and the paradox is we're late even when those punishments and consequences exist. People are getting fired, losing money, damaging relationships, and they're still late. If it was just about being selfish or lazy, don't you think the threat of getting fired would fix it? The fact that consequences don't work proves this isn't about character. It's about neurology. All right, I need to be honest here. My defense has limits because yes, sometimes people are late for crappy reasons. Some people use lateness to make a grand entrance. They want attention, and walking in late guarantees everyone looks at them. Some people use it as rebellion, especially if they grew up with super strict parents obsessed with punctuality. Now, being late is their way of saying, I'm in control, and yes, some people genuinely feel their time is more valuable than yours. These are often the same people who park in disabled spots or cut in line. That's not a brain thing, that's just being entitled. Psychotherapist Jonathan Alpert says, many chronically late individuals don't intend to be disrespectful. They're overwhelmed, anxious, or trying to squeeze too much into too little time. Many, not all, some people are just jerks. But here's my point, you can't tell the difference from the outside. That person who just walked in 20 minutes late could have ADHD, could be a type B living in a 77-second minute, or could be dealing with anxiety that makes them avoid arriving early. Or yeah, they could be selfish, but we default to assuming the worst, and that's not fair. Oh, and while we're at it, let's talk about you super punctual people for a second. You think you're so great because you show up on time. Well, studies show that type A personalities, the punctual ones, have higher stress levels, more anxiety, and are more prone to heart disease. Type B people, the late ones, they're more relaxed, have better emotional regulation, show greater adaptability, and according to a Harvard study, optimists, which type B people tend to be, actually live longer and healthier lives. So congratulations on being on time. Enjoy your early grave. I'm kidding, kind of. But seriously, Martin Luther King Jr. was chronically late. In 1967, he said it always takes us a little longer to get somewhere, and I'm pretty sure his contributions to humanity outweigh the fact that people had to wait for him. Type B individuals also thrive in tech sectors where you need to juggle multiple projects without rigid schedules. They're often more creative, more innovative, and more willing to take risks. Being late isn't always a bug. Sometimes it's a feature. Here's the good news. Yes, chronically late people can improve. Even with all these brain-based issues, there are strategies that work. For the planning fallacy, experts say double your time estimates. If you think something takes 15 minutes, plan for 30, add a 30 to 50% buffer to everything. For time blindness, externalize time, set multiple alarms, wear a watch, put clocks everywhere. One expert recommends the 10 to 5-2 method. In 10 minutes, shoes on. In 5 minutes, coat on. We leave at 8:10. Track your time for 1 week. Write down how long things actually take versus what you estimate. Most late people are shocked when their quick 10-minute shower is actually 25 minutes. And the simplest trick, always plan to be 15 minutes early. That way, when your broken time perception brain inevitably underestimates, you'll end up being on time. So here's my final argument. Is chronic lateness annoying? Yes. Does it cost society billions of dollars? Absolutely. Should people try to be on time? Of course. But is it always about being selfish or disrespectful? No, not even close. 20% of people are living in a different time reality. Some people's brains experience 77 seconds before they feel like a minute has passed. Others literally cannot sense time passing, like neurologically cannot. And almost all of us underestimate how long things take by about 40% because of the planning fallacy. We've built a society that demands perfect punctuality, then given half the population brains that can't accurately perceive time, surrounded everyone with distracting technology, and then we act shocked when people are late. And instead of understanding the science, we just call them assholes. So next time your friend shows up 20 minutes late, maybe minus just maybe, Give them the benefit of the doubt. Their brain might be working against them. But also, if you're the chronically late one, this video isn't a free pass. Science explains your lateness. It doesn't excuse it. Use the strategies. Set more alarms. Stop thinking you can do just one more thing. And to the super punctual people who've been getting increasingly angry throughout this video, I see you in the comments already. Yes, lateness is frustrating. Yes, it affects you. But maybe bring that same energy to understanding neurodiversity instead of just judging people. Now drop a comment. Are you team late or team early? And if you're late, what's your excuse? I want to hear it. Let's settle this debate once and for all. Hit that like button if I changed your mind even a little bit. And subscribe because we're doing more videos on why humans do the weird, frustrating, fascinating things we do. And if you'll excuse me, I have to go. I'm running late for something, obviously.